Today, I ask my colleagues to be honest with themselves and with the American people. A shutdown is an avoidable disaster. Yet we are seeing the results of extremists taking the reins of this body. Government works through compromise, not blackmail. The extremists care more about power than they do the American people. These politicians' games are inching us closer and closer to a shutdown. A shutdown would be catastrophic for millions of Americans. Our military and law enforcement will continue to serve, but will not receive pay. Air traffic controllers and TSA officers will have to work without pay, potentially leading to delays and longer wait times for travelers at airports. Depending on the length of the shutdown, food stamp benefits through SNAP may not be sent out. Despite what some of my colleagues across the aisle would like to claim, Americans will feel this shutdown. On the international stage, a shutdown also shows the world a disturbing and vulnerable trend. It is another piece of evidence that we can no longer govern. In 2021, Fiona Hill wrote, "The polarization of American society has become a national security threat, acting as a barrier to the collective action necessary for combating catastrophes and thwarting external dangers." Since that time, it has only gotten worse. In my lifetime, we have seen policies that were nonpartisan become bitterly so. Issues like raising the debt, funding the government. Now, finding common ground on these issues has become nearly impossible. We have failed to pass our appropriation bills out of committee. We came dangerously close to defaulting on our nation's debt. We have not passed a single meaningful piece of legislation that addresses real issues facing Americans. We can barely pass a rule to begin debating a bill on the House floor. And now, we are dangerously close to a government shutdown. Right now, we are experiencing a strange variant of polarization. Back in June, we managed to find compromise and common ground. We had a deal agreed to by both parties and both houses. But a group of extremists in Congress forced the Speaker to renege on this deal, pushing us to the brink of a shutdown. It wasn't the tail wagging the dog, it was the tip of the dog's tail. Yes, the Speaker has the sword of Damocles over him, but he put it there. If you allow the most extreme of the extreme to run the show, that will only make polarization impacts more likely and more severe. As a result, the majority has avoided acting on real issues, and in the process, put the worst of our democracy on display for the world. If we can't show the rest of the world that we can govern, the consequences are numerous and severe. A nation that wants to partner with the U.S. may see our internal instability and deem the risk too high. When our participation in global treaties is already known to wax and wane, depending on the party in charge, our internal inability to accomplish the basic requirements of governing is not an encouraging indicator. Inevitably, this will drive more and more emerging nations to turn away from us and instead work with other less democratic global powers, like China. This puts our current position as having the world's reserve currency at risk, which would have negative consequences for our country. Right now, if you're a carpet maker in Chile and you order silk from Morocco for some carpets you plan to make, you will pay for that silk in US dollars, not Chilean pesos and not Moroccan pounds. Having the world's reserve currency gives US businesses a home court advantage when conducting business around the world. But our foreign competitors are already sensing an opportunity to challenge our internal currency status. Earlier this year, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil started making trades in other currencies, primarily Chinese. This is a direct challenge and one we should not take lightly. These are just a few of the consequences if leadership in Washington can't come together to effectively govern our country. Should we continue to operate under these disorganized and polarized times, it will only get worse.